Hi, just a quick preface to this video. It's long, it's an hour and a half, but the information is good and it's about the Proforge 4 that's currently on Kickstarter. All the information is coming from the founder of Makertech behind the machine, so he has a lot to mention about it, and this is the perfect place to pick up all the details about this amazing new printer, and hopefully that will overshadow some of the quality issues of this video. So here we go, let's get started.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to 3D Loot Lab. I'm Alid, and today we're going to talk about the upcoming Proforge 4 that's currently on Kickstarter. And I have Adeel here from Makertech who's going to go into that with me. But before I do that, I'm just going to get a bit background about myself. So I have a 3D printing business for 3 years now, and quite successful considering it's like a side hustle / hobby. And I continue to expand and my capabilities. I've gone through probably over 10 different printers, sold some, got some new ones. Currently, have got the Bamboo X1s in the background there. I built a rat rig over here. And I've also signed up for the pre-order for the Prusa XL. And then just recently, I came across the Proforge 4, and this machine looks absolutely amazing. So I actually already signed up for the Kickstarter, and that's why I'm really excited to talk to Adeel here about his capabilities. And so Adeel, on to you. Can you give us a little background about yourself, Makertech, and then finally the Proforge 4?
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much, Chris. Yep, my name is Adeel. I'm the founder of Makertech 3D and also the designer of the Proforge for 3D printers. My background is mechanical engineering, and I got into 3D printing just as a hobby, and from there I thought maybe I could do my own printer and start a business out of this. And the years went on, released a few machines, and here we are today with the Proforge 4, and yeah, that's the gist of it. Yeah.
Okay, wow, amazing. I did not know I had the honor to have the founder of Makertech talking with me. So that's great. Okay, yeah, you're right. And you've had a couple of printers already. So this is, I guess, Proforge 4. Does that means that this is the fourth printer that you've achieved?
Yes. Yeah, it was technically the fifth one. We did a really small, low cost machine, called the Axis, but this is like our fourth flagship machine. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. All right, so we can have a lot of experience under your belt in your company. Okay, so I'm just gonna shift over here to the actual Kickstarter website. And yeah, we only have 13 days left to go, so yeah, exciting stuff. So here it is, and for those of you who are watching, you've probably already come across this website. You watched the flashy, amazing video. You've maybe taken a gander through all the specs. So right now, we'll just go through some of a quick summary here of some of the highlights of this machine, and then just bounce to below. So Adeel, yeah. So it's a fairly large machine. It's 400 by 300, and right now 340 millimeters, right?
Yeah. Well, we actually just reached the stretch goal for extending that. So the Z-axis now is going to be 400. So yeah, it's an even bigger machine.
Right. And what made you make that decision? Is because I noticed that there were some comments, people asking for a bigger Z and all that. Is that the reason why?
Yeah. So again, like the aim with the Kickstarter was just to get as much feedback as possible from the community and everyone backing, and make the Proforge 4 not just our printer, but everyone's printer. So it made sense. A lot of people were asking for that extra Z height, and we thought, yeah, we think we can squeeze 60 more millimeters, 6 more centimeters in, and just make it a clean 400.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great that right from the Kickstarter, you're taking feedback from the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so it's fast, 10
Mhm.
times faster than the other machines. It's multi-material, has the one of the major selling points makes this very different from all the other printers, desktop printers that I've seen so far, is that it's got 4 tool heads. It's open source, 350 degrees C hot end, 330 bed, fully enclosed, Wi-Fi camera, touchscreen, and 2-year warranty. That's pretty much everything in a nutshell. Yeah, it looks amazing. Lots of features and specs that are pretty amazing. And I guess the first off, the one here, speed is the first one you decided to highlight, and it is very impressive. So did you want to go over the speeds yourself? Like,
yeah, so these values here, they're the maximum speed, accelerations, and flow rates that you can get. As far as like printing at these speeds goes, it's like that is the top end. So it's probably going to be travel moves that you're going to be doing rather than actual printing moves. But even that is it's pretty quick, and you see in the video the Benji being printed there. A lot of the time has been made up by those travel moves. That 60k acceleration and the 800 millimeters per second speed is really what helps bring the print time down.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, because I think a lot of people who maybe looking at this, maybe like me, we got the Bamboo X1s, which was just like blew past the specs of other desktop 3D printers, and it's I think it has like 20k acceleration, 500 millimeters per second max speed, and a flow rate of 32. But you've like you're well past those specs, and I guess like the flow rate, like 60 millimeters cubed, is that like the theoretical max, or is that the actual max? Because like, you know, there's the Rapido and the Dragon Hot ends. Like the Rapido, I think it's like 75 millimeters cube. No, but I had that actually, and I can't ever quite reach that max. I think the max I got was 45.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's just a value that we tested with ABS. Well, like, yeah, this is something we can reliably push out of
Really?
the hot end at 60 millimeters cubed. Yeah.
Wow, that's super impressive. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because I mean, if you can go as fast as you want, but if you limit by flow, I actually got a chart here. I was comparing. Like I had like I said, I had the Rapido on my rat rig, and I was just limited by flow. So I actually put on a Goliath, which is like not everybody have heard of it yet, but it has like supposed to have 100 millimeters flow. That's really been helpful. But I put it here for the Proforge. I think Proforge here, like at 0.3 layer height and at 0.4 nozzle, like you could afford to go potentially as high as 500 millimeters per second at that standard nozzle and height, and still have flow, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, a big part of that is just extending the heater block, so the filament has more of a chance to just melt and stay molten as it's being pushed out by the extruder.
Right, so a lot better than a volcano,
yeah.
but just under like a super volcano. So it's like an in between. Like I guess you got the best.
Yeah, it's a happy medium. Yeah.
Oh, nice, and then that's how you're able to give these specs here. Like the print size here. I like how you got here the got 0.6 nozzle. A lot of us are going to be moving to 0.6 nozzles to do larger prints. And then you also got a 0.4 nozzle here, and you give the different speeds, like infill 300, walls 100 to 200. Of course, I'm sure the walls push more, but yeah.
Sorry, so these I was going to say these are like the typical sorts of speeds that you'd likely be printing at. You could push faster and tune this. You've got a ton of headroom there, but this is what we're pushing out as like this is the default in our profiles. So,
and it's impressive, and I think you got an ADXL to help with that because it's going so fast.
Yeah, definitely. It needs mentioning in the campaign, but yeah, you definitely need the ADXL, otherwise you're just not going to hit those
All this
speeds at
more
all.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah, that was one
exactly.
of the first things I actually asked in the comments. I was like, "Oh my gosh, these speeds like they're great, but is there an ADXL?" Oh, I was thinking I have to put
Yeah,
one on there myself, but no, it was there. So I'm like, "Okay, great. This really does have. It seems like the whole package of everything, as we'll see." Um, and yeah, it's
yep.
great that you have all the different tool heads for the nozzle sizes. You can switch between them, as you mentioned. This is fantastic. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here. So you said, how did we fit all this speed? So this is great. This is going to go to the technicalities, like how are you capable to do this? Um,
Hmm.
so you said here you got quad core, XY, I guess the LDO motors. I don't know if there's the speedy or the super speedy motors.
I think the current motors in there are the speedy ones. Then I think for the production run, we're going to be using a super speedy. I think
Oh, really?
they recently just released them, didn't
Yes,
they?
it's pretty recent
Yeah.
as of
So
right
they'll be the
now.
latest ones.
Yeah.
They'll should hopefully be the latest ones. Yeah.
So I might even be able to go like a higher acceleration than who knows.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Another thing with going quad core XY we
Mm,
noticed was
mm.
that we don't skip steps at all. I mean, even like across our testing, we'd maybe notice with the Proforge 3, we'd skip maybe one step
Really? Okay.
on the odd print. But going quad core XY, we haven't skipped a single step, even pushing the after we found like the limit of the printer's acceleration and speed,
Mm.
and keeping below that, we've not experienced a single skip step, and I think that's because of the additional torque that you get from
Ah,
having four motors. It's just significantly more reliable than having just two on a regular core XY, which is just fantastic.
yeah,
I
no,
think.
that's amazing to hear. And so, what about the tensions on the belts then? Like, did you like frequency tune it and get that as well? It's like how tight are the belts exactly?
Um, we we actually just tighten them by hand. Really, it's
Okay,
not
and
something that we
you just like a
tune
guitar string. You
specifically.
just felt like it was
Yeah,
okay. That's it.
felt like this was good. It can be done manually, and there's no specific requirement for each belt. I mean, as long as they both feel okay,
Mm.
the ADXL will then compensate for I guess different tensions across different machines.
Yeah, that's true, and I think there's a feature which can actually like make sure the tension between the belts are the same on the ADXL. So that's great. But yeah, fantastic, and not missing steps. The motors seem like they're outside the printer, which
Hmm.
is cool. Got two dedicated power supplies, 24 volts, 48 volts. Oh, so the motors are 48 volt, going to be super speedy for 48-volt motors, using the full potential of
Exa-
those motors.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I got speed motors on my rat rig and I'm running about 24 volts, and I still get like, yeah, I'm getting like speeds of 500. Like, not my acceleration is much lower. It's like under 10,000, but yeah, that's amazing. Okay, and advanced TMC 5160 drivers,
Hmm.
and of course the Clipper firmware. We can go at these speeds, and yeah, this is great. It really does seem like this is truly open source, so we can like modify it. We can switch out
Yeah.
parts very
Hmm.
easily. Yeah, I love it. Okay, and so yeah, one of the main features, the Toolchanger, is capable of running 4 high-speed direct drive printheads. So this is the area where I'm like really, and a lot of us like who are hobbyists or whatnot, we've gone through our printers, we built printers, or maybe we haven't. But this is something that we just don't see very often. Like we see IDEX maybe, but not
Hmm.
uh like tool head changes. So yeah, if you could like give us a lowdown and like from the basics for those of us who don't know to like maybe more advanced features of it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So the tool changer is well, it's something that we first saw with E3D's tool changer, and big respect to them for uh pushing that so early on. And this takes inspiration largely from that, with using a kinematic coupling, which you can see in the image those three silver balls on the tool plates. They connect to the plate on the tool carriage, which
Mm.
is then held together by the tension of a die spring and a cam mechanism that's powered by the servo. So it's super reliable. The image that you currently see, you can see that there's a black plate, 3 silver balls, and then the red cam dock on the inside. So for the final version, I think we've got an image further down, but for the version that you guys will get, it will all be machined out of
Right.
stainless steel.
I think I did see that.
Yeah, I think it's further down
Even
in
further
the
down.
details.
Reminds me we've got a lot to go. I don't want to keep you too long, but so this
there
is
it
it
is.
here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So that again, like it's just further optimization. So the prototype originally we did it that way because we wanted to test a few things with it, and once we were super happy with it and it was working reliably, then we commit to a full machined stainless steel design, and that's what that final version is going to be. And I think in the recent update, there's also a rendering of the Toolchanger side also being stainless steel. So yeah, again, just for that ultra reliability and wear resistance as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, wear resistance, and so sorry to backtrack. So it works by like a lock and key. Like it goes in, it locks, locks, unlocks, but and then when it pulls it out, it's when it releases, it unlocks, and then when it goes into the next tool head, it locks in with the servo. You mentioned some things that I never heard before, and then it just pulls it out, and then it can continue with its business. That the kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, essentially that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. And I think you show here you've done like lots of testing, like 3,000 tool swaps. Yeah, that is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a good example there because like it's big print, lots of different color changes there. And it looks really good. Like the worry sometimes is always like the accuracy, like the calibration, but I guess that'd be up to us. And you've shown that it's pretty accurate, like with between the layers of the layer changes.
Yeah, and that is something that will only improve once we put the stainless steel tool plates in. So as far as repeatability, it's super accurate. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. And then you highlight here multi-material TPU, which is great. I think currently with the Bamboo Lab and even with the ERSCF current versions, TPU is a particular problem. In fact, I don't think you can effectively like long prints use those materials in between. So that's great that this has the functionality. I think IDEX is probably the best at this point. But so that's great.
Yeah, and being direct drive as well. So with other systems that are pulling filament in and out of that single hot end, you kind of lose the ability of really being able to use TPU effectively. Direct drive helps with that a lot because that filament stays in that hot end. It doesn't go anywhere. So once the tool head is docked, it's there ready for the next time you want to use it.
That's right.
Yeah.
The same
and
with
we're using we're using the Orbiter V2 as well. So again, filament path is super constrained, and we actually didn't have any issues with printing TPU. It was fairly straightforward and easy to print, to be completely honest.
Okay, and so you can print TPU pretty quickly then. That's usually the problem. Like we have to lower the speeds.
I think we did lower them a little bit just because
just in case
that's that's just the nature of TPU. You do have to print it a little slowly, but it's still quicker than what you'd maybe be typically used to. I don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but it was quicker.
Yeah, I've heard good things about the Orbiter. I actually just got the Orbiter. I haven't really fully tested it on TPU yet.
Yeah, it's a great extruder. Great extruder.
I had the LGX Lite before, and I did have some problems like pushing it past like 80 on large prints with TPU. Okay, so multi-nozzle, speed, strength, detail, exterior 0.2 nozzle, interior 0.8 nozzle. Just another good highlight of what you're able to do with the
Yeah,
Toolchanger capabilities compared to a single nozzle material changer.
exactly. And you can have like a 0.2, a 0.4, 0.6, or even a 1 millimeter nozzle if you really wanted to.
Oh wow.
Loaded on all four different tool heads and use whichever one you wanted to for whatever particular print. So you're not having to swap nozzles as you are with other machines that only have that single hot end. Again, it's just that convenience of just setting your print to print with that nozzle, that tool head with that specific nozzle. And yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about this because it's hard for me to like imagine like going from like a 0.1, 0.2 to 0.8 infill and how it's like overlapping and how well it would turn out. But it should work really well. It looks like it works really well. And also from
yeah,
like
it does. It
a
does, yeah.
business perspective, you reminded me of something that's really cool. Like, you know, these machines, they're much more capable. They're more expensive than your regular desktop printer. Um, but they're way faster than like your basic ender, right? So it's like having multiple, and the fact that you have four uh, heads, that for me that adds a lot of redundancy because I will have problems like, you know, I'll break something with the nozzle will clog and I just don't want to deal with it right now. I don't have time. I need to get a print out. I have the capability of like relying. Oh, I'm just gonna like, and when I slice, I'm gonna just choose a different nozzle. So
Yeah,
so I really like this from a business perspective. Like if works out goes well, and if I need more volume, I'll probably order a bunch of these. Um, and yeah, just highlighting that because others who are watching probably might have the same thing in their mind. Um, and next up, Solval Sports. Yeah, I guess pretty straightforward. You can change the nozzle sizes, and it's multi-material. You can it's quite capable then, I guess, with in this case producing a chain. This is yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
PVA, I guess. Yeah, I guess we could touch on the use of a dry box. It's something that people have mentioned. If the printer could also include a dry box. So
Oh yeah.
with PVA, it's something you really want to make sure is nice and dry before you try printing it.
Mm-hmm.
So we are looking to partner with potentially a dry box manufacturer and include that as an option for purchase, but we're still working that out. It may just end up being where we recommend a certain manufacturer's dry box and say, you know, if PVA is something you're interested in, or if uh, you know, just for that extra reliability of making sure your filament is good to print with.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
point people towards a good dry box. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I actually just yesterday ordered a EOBOS Cyclops. If you heard of that one, it's
Mhm.
it can hold a 2 kg. It's pretty good, but you
Oh,
can
okay.
but it goes up to 70 degrees C heat in there. But yeah, I definitely see the applications for that. Yeah, so great.
Yeah.
We'll stay tuned for that. Um, so this is efficient. Oh, like we said before, precious time and material tool changing. A Proforge 4 changer does not need to purge. Okay, that's great. Doesn't need to purge as much or at all. Uh, only priming tower is created to prevent blobs, which reduce with. Okay, that's true. So yeah, you don't have to like create these blobs like we do with the bamboo's AMS,
E-
where you have a buildup.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So there's no build up, and we are working towards. Originally, the plan was to have those buckets there underneath the hot end, so
Yeah.
it catches any ooze, and we could probably prime into them. But we found after 3,000 tool changes, those buckets fill up pretty quickly. Another thing that we didn't realize would be that ooze also screws up retraction settings. If you retract by a certain amount, filament is still going to ooze out of that hot end.
Hmm.
And then when you go back to prime that hot end, there's going to be a certain amount of filament missing from the hot end. So you need to compensate for that. And that's going to vary across different filaments, different materials, and it just makes creating profiles a little bit more of a hassle. So going forward, and we should be releasing a render in maybe even today or tomorrow of a design that uses sleds, spring steel sleds, to completely block off flow from the nozzle when the tool head is docked.
Okay, so like slides underneath it.
Slides underneath it, stops any filament coming out. And with that, we're hoping to solve that traction issue, and B, get rid of any sort of priming or purge tower completely. And that should save a massive amount of time. So on this 4-color benchy, you see behind the benchy there's a priming tower, and the printer spends a fair bit of time each print head swap on that prime tower, and it adds like a good chunk of time. I think 30, maybe 45 minutes to that print. So if we can get rid of that, that'll be massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, currently you could try printing without the prime tower. It just leaves a few blobs on the print itself. So that's why we've got that prime tower in currently, just for quality.
Okay, great to hear. Yeah, so the buckets work, probably go away. Might have a little sled thing that completely eliminate prime towers. That fantastic that we're making like optimizations even now. And yeah, this multicolor print. I also watched the YouTube video and looked at the close up and everything. It looks really good. That maybe there's some issues of refinement, but I mean at the speed it was going and everything, yeah, pretty impressive. So we are starting to run out of time here. Probably got another 7 minutes or so. So maybe I mean we could do another one if you wanted to go a deeper dive into it.
I'm happy to carry on if you've got the time.
Yeah, it's just because I'm cheap, and Zoom will end this call in 7 minutes.
Oh, right, okay.
But we could just fire it up again.
Okay,
but then
sure, sounds good.
But then I do have like a hard stop around maybe another 15 minutes from now anyway. So
sure, okay.
So yeah, we actually talked about this already. Big print volume. You're looking to increase it, which is fantastic. Are there any like things you can think of right now you want to talk about, really dive into and highlight? I could just think of one right now, like for me, the kit assembly, because a lot of people aren't used to setting up with a kit. I have a rat rig. It took me way longer than I should have, and I would never have started if I knew it would take so long. And especially, I don't know about electronics so much. I had to get like outside help. Probably should took 40. It took me like probably 100 hours to get together. But yours, how does your kit compare? And what can people expect to get? Like especially people who've never built a 3D printer from scratch before.
Yeah, so we're going to have instructions that are going to guide you through with as much detail as possible. So our instructions are also they're on a site called .zuki, where you can comment under each step. So if you have any issues, you post directly under that step and ask for help. As far as building the kit goes, it is an advanced build, in the sense that the components will all come separate, and a part of that, and that allows us to keep costs down, and again, it keeps shipping costs down because we flat pack everything. But yeah, as far as like comparing it to something like a Voron or a Rattler build, all the wiring comes crimped, ready to be plugged in. Very few 3D printed parts. There are no parts that are 3D printed that require heat inserts. So either because like we use so many CNC machine parts and also sheet metal parts that have already been threaded, so you can just screw straight into those. But yeah, I mean, the stages will be broken down into the base, the frame, then the Z-axis and the gantry, and then finally the tool heads, and you should be good to go after completing those steps. But Yeah, I would say it's similar to a Vor and a rat rate build, but with probably fewer components and more threaded parts that
Okay.
plugs that can screw straight in.
Yeah, no, I like that you pre-crimped everything. That took up a lot of time. Like I think there's like, I mean, maybe hundreds of crimps like
Yeah, yeah,
otherwise. So that saved a
yeah,
lot of time and makes it a lot easier for especially for people who are new. And then the electronics, hope there'll be good diagrams. Everything they say exactly what to do. No one has to
yeah,
worry. And
yeah,
I guess it's pretty clean layout that you have on the bottom. Or the yeah, it's at the bottom. I can't where and there's somewhere here. um, you showed the bottom of the printer. It was very
yeah.
clean. Right
There's
here.
tons of there's tons of
Mm,
space down there. Yeah, and that's actually going to be a little bit cleaner actually. So
mm,
if you see the 5-volt converter and the stepper expander,
mm.
those two components will be getting rid of, because it's mentioned in the update, but the electronics board, we're going for the brand new Easy 10 board, so we don't need that expander anymore. And the Raspberry Pi, so there's still currently a
Mm,
shortage
mhm.
of the Pi 4 boards, but Big Tree Tech have recently come out with their own version of the Raspberry Pi,
Yes. Yes.
and we'll be using that, and it's a lot more optimized for 3D printing, so we don't need
Okay.
that
Great.
power converter. The ADXL board plugs straight into there. There's a dedicated port, so you don't have to search for it or anything.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's a lot more streamlined.
Okay.
Similarly with the Easy board as well, there are no jumpers that you have to deal with. The
Mm.
stepper drivers plug straight in, and you don't have to worry about getting them the right way around or anything like that. You just plug them in, and you're good to go.
Okay. Great. So just again, limited on time here. So it's a heated chamber. I would the more advanced materials like nylons, polycarbonates, CF nylon. So those seem to print just great. Like you and having that heated chamber really helps. Are you able to get up to 60 degrees, or it's like because it's they're rather thin panels and is
Yeah,
it still
so
possible?
so it's passively heated. There's no active heating inside
Mm,
the chamber.
mhm, mhm.
Um, so the heated bed radiates heat, and that heats up the chamber. We get it to around 60 C. Can't really go any higher than that as far as like ambient temp above the build plate. Um, Also, I should mention with the nylon and polycarbonate parts, it does take a bit of uh, so you might find that you need to use some sort of additional adhesive to get them to
Yeah.
really stick to the bed without warping.
Mhm, mhm.
Nylon in particular. You may find going big with nylon and polycarbonate parts, depending on the type of material that you use, might
Mhm,
be
mhm.
difficult.
Yeah.
Certain brands may work better than others
Yeah.
as far as printing big. So it's something to do your
Yeah,
research on.
that's my experience. I have difficulty
Yeah,
with nylon on my bamboo. Like I don't
yeah,
know, not here, but you can see there. I like put all this um, insulation inside to bring up the chamber temp, and I still have issues. But so you're right, warping
yeah.
is still a big big problem. Okay, we've got like less than a minute left. Yeah, so just want to thank you for coming online and talking about this. I mean, maybe we'll do a part two because there's still so much, or we'll see. But I really feel like I got a much better understanding of what to expect. Um, yeah, so it's literally going to end any second now. So I'll just thank you again, Adeel, and it was great to meet you. And
Yeah.
thank you for introducing
Thank
what's
you as
coming up.
well. It was good meeting you as well.
Yeah.
Great,
All right. Okay. I'm gonna end the video for now. All right. See ya.
great. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Okay. Hi, Adeel. Yeah, welcome back. This is like we decided everybody to have a part two and probably combine to a single video since there's still so much to go through on this Proforge 4. And just as a recap for ourselves, mostly I guess, we went through all the basics of the Proforge, what it's expected to have in terms of specifications and the parts and the size
and its capabilities, and it all seems like it makes sense, like considering like getting like I consider high-end parts, super speedy LDO motors, really your own custom hardened for great flow. And then we started to end off talking about, you know, that this is a kit, and so there may be a lot of people who aren't who've never built like from a 3D printer from scratch like that. And you mentioned that you know, there's going to be documentation on the line, and maybe so we could just continue on from there, like just because I think it's really important that that people who get this like have like the right expectation. Just because from my own experience, I maybe I'm just I probably, yeah, just was ignorant. Like building my own rat rig was way harder than I expected. So did you want to recap about like what what we can see in the future, or when this kit is delivered? How will someone who's never built a 3D printer before, how would they go about it, and what can they expect?
Yeah, sure. So as far as building the machine goes, we're going to have instructions that will break down each of the stages of the machine into bite-sized chunks,
Hmm.
and you'll be able to do these they'll be fairly straightforward,
Hmm.
similar to, say, putting together a PC or doing a Lego kit. Again, there's no crimping or soldering or any sort
Awesome.
of special skills or techniques that you would need to have in order to build this machine. It is literally just
Hmm.
plugging things in, screwing things together.
Hmm.
Um, Possibly the most complicated part of the assembly would
Hmm.
be putting the belts in.
Okay.
Um, that's perhaps the most complex, but
Hmm.
again, it's not so complex that you're just not going to be able to do it. Um, it is what it is with the belts.
Right, and like you mentioned, you just tighten them, make sure they're taut enough. I
Yeah.
think some of us might even recommend a certain frequency based on the build size that you can actually pick up with your phone. That's what I do. And one of the things I had difficulty with my rat rig to just get it like really perfect, and a lot of people work on, is like squaring the frame. Um, so yeah, I guess with this, like there's various techniques for that. I don't know if you decided to like recommend any techniques for like squaring the frame, or
Yeah,
it was
so
just locked
we've
together, right? Yeah. So go
yeah,
ahead.
so we did think we thought about that
Mm.
when we were designing the frame as well. So the black extrusions that you see, they're
Mhm.
held together not just by the corner plates, not just by the aluminium plates, but also by cast aluminium brackets on the inside.
Oh,
So
okay.
when each corner is assembled with the bracket and the plate together, it should auto align itself to be square because you're mating the outside surfaces flush and the internal angle at 90 degrees, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
Okay, I
yeah,
can't see it, so that's great. Great, you brought it up. And so it's like the corner of each of the cube that's on the inside, and it helps it like
mhm,
lock in firmly and fit. And then when you tighten everything, it like pulls the frame
ex-
together.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
great. Yeah, I had a lot of difficulty myself with the router, so it's great that you've really thought of that. Um, and then in terms of the electronics, like you said, really just crimping. And if someone has no electrical knowledge, there's gonna be like a procedure which like very clearly like what color to what color wire and to what not, double check,
yeah,
triple check type
yeah,
of thing.
exactly. So again, no crimping. We
Identity,
go
right?
over each of each of the so we don't just leave you with a wiring diagram and say, you know, you're on your own. This
Uh-huh.
goes, just follow the diagram and put it together. But our instructions will have step by step. Uh, they'll walk you through step by step where each wire needs to go. So once it's time to plug, say, the end stops in, there will be a specific step to say
Mm.
this end stop cable will plug into this part of the electronics board, and the instruction guide will do that for each thing that needs to be wired. So it's super straightforward. It walks you through each of the steps in like a really concise, bite-sized manner.
Okay, great, fantastic. Yeah, and then we just see here that the parts that we're putting together are ABS
Yeah,
Plus, and
ABS Plus. Yeah,
that's great. And so this is open source enough that we'll be able to download the file. So if we choose like
yeah,
beforehand, I can print it in like carbon fiber nylon if I wanted to.
yeah. If you wanted to, you could. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic, great. Okay, well, thanks for going over that. I just remembered, like, I don't know if we mentioned this before, but like, exactly how long do you expect the average individual to like take to put it all together?
Right. This really depends on how you want to put it together. If you want to just blitz through it over a weekend,
Hmm.
you could. If you wanted to take your time,
Okay.
work on it a little bit each evening, you could do that as well. I'd recommend, at the very least, breaking it down between the mechanical build and the electrical first print build. So
Okay,
do all the
that's
mechanics first, and then give yourself time to just rest, and
mhm.
then come back to it to do the wiring and your first print.
Okay, great. Great advice. So if it's like a weekend, if you blitzkrieg through it, or a couple of evenings, so that's kind of giving me
Mhm.
an idea that, if you're really good at this sort of thing and you know what you're doing, maybe you could get it done in like maybe 15 hours and then up to like maybe 30, 35 hours type of deal, rough estimate.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's great. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. I think I recall that we did start talking about printing some of the advanced materials, the heat chamber, but I guess we'll go back, I'll try and keep it a little organized so we cover everything, where we were, in your Kickstarter page. So I think we were here. That's how we were talking about the various diversity of like materials like polycarbonate, nylon. Nylon's a little more challenging. You mentioned about warping. I know that
Mhm.
by myself, having issues with it. ABS. So is there anything you want to mention here about the printer, how it helps with maybe with all from anything from simple PLAs, TPUs to, you know, more difficult, higher temperature materials like polycarbonate, nylon?
Yeah. So the temperature capabilities are pre-baked into the machine. Right? You will be able to print the vast majority of materials, especially
Mm,
those high temp materials. So the hot end is perfectly capable of doing that. The heated bed as well can get up
mm,
to 130 C. Again, perfectly capable of really holding onto those parts and stopping them from warping.
mm.
Um, Obviously, adding the enclosure is what's going to allow you to print those larger ABS parts.
Right.
Uh, and then going on to things like nylon, um, where if you're planning to print big nylon, you want an actively heated chamber, which is
Mm,
something that the Proforge 4 does not have.
mm, mm,
That's something where you really need a bit more of a specialist machine to do, but you're still able to print smaller nylon
mm,
parts
mm.
that are closer to the heated bed that can make use of that higher ambient temperature nearer the bed to get good results there. And yeah, the print platform is also PEI, so
Right.
that is something that you may consider switching out depending on what kind of material you want to print with. Um, but PEI should be able to handle most materials
Right. It's
perfectly
just like
well.
the magnetic like pull off and pop off,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
pull
Oh,
off.
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, great. Yeah, and you mentioned like yeah, the heated chamber on here is go to 60 degrees, and that reminds me that the panels are they acrylic panels?
yeah. They're acrylic panels. Yeah,
Okay, acrylic, and then I think the top was like I saw like metal portions on the top as well.
yeah.
Where is
So
it?
the top is
Right here.
a steel sheet slash acrylic.
Okay, is acrylic on top? Also, all steel on top.
Acrylic on top, so you can see through it.
Oh, okay.
That's clear acrylic on top. Yeah,
Okay, great.
and the sides are a steel.
Okay. No, I'm just thinking for myself because since it's so there's a lot of upgrade potential here too if we wanted. So I could add like polycarbonate panels or aluminum panels like the same shape. The cutouts aren't too complex, and if I wanted to add like heating to this, like uh, beside the ABS parts, did you happen to know what the working temperature is for like the tool changer and the internal parts? Like how hot would we be allowed to go?
Yeah, we've sort of hit the we don't really want to go higher than 60 or 70 degrees on those parts. If you do, it's you want to have some sort of water cooling in place,
Okay.
especially for the hot end
Mm-hmm.
and possibly the extruder motor as well. The gantry motors are externally mounted, so you don't really have to worry about them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it is just the hot end and the extruder motor if you're planning to go for that heated chamber mod.
Okay. Now that makes
Yeah,
sense. That's reasonable. So just the hot end and the extruder motor, um, and the parts if it's ABS plus, which I think is good to like probably 100 anyway, ish. But I wouldn't want to get too
yeah,
close to that just in case. Um, and we don't have to worry about the servo for the tool changer that's inside. But that's the what that's not a BL Touch. That's a inductive
that an
sensor.
inductive probe. Yeah,
I'm not sure what the working temperature of that, but it's a standard inductive probe, right?
it's a standard probe. Again, it would require some testing if you wanted to build a heated chamber.
Yeah.
It's not something that the printer is really designed for. But it would be it could be a possible mod, sure.
Okay. Yeah,
But
sorry.
it would
I get ahead of myself. I'm
it
just
would
like always
require a bit
thinking
of
what I
testing.
could. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, but good to get some information just in case myself or other people want to start making that upgrade because it's really great that the motors, like you said, are on the outside. It's just yeah, it makes me want to be able to heat it up a bit more. Okay. So we talked about a little bit of this. I think we're going back down here. The control. It's Clipper. It looks yeah, it's mainsail. So those familiar with it know that that's exactly what it is. But you've already got a pre-configuration set up for the tool changer, and so people should be able to just
Yeah,
like download from your website and then
download, copy and paste it in. Simple as that. And all
mm,
the tool changing is handled by Clipper. So if you're using, well, you can really use any slicer you want,
mm.
and just add in, you know, tool selection start ng codes. The firmware handles all of that. We've got our own macros that do all of that for you. And
Okay, great. And it's just out of curiosity, which slicer would you recommend or have you been using to test it out?
we've been using Cura to test out that
Okay, Cura.
any slicer that can handle multiple materials will work just fine.
Okay, fantastic. All right, and there's a built-in 1080p camera, it says here. All right, that's just where is that? Right under the next to one of the motors. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that camera, the image of the camera is a Raspberry Pi camera.
Mm.
The camera on the final version's is slightly better. It's got
Oh, nice.
a fisheye lens on it, wider angle, a view as well. There's an image of it on the latest update
Oh,
if
okay.
people want to look at that. Yeah, the campaign page actually will be updating over the weekend anyway, just to include those things. And yeah, so you should see a slightly more updated campaign page, probably a little bit after this video goes up, or once this video is up,
Okay, nice.
I
Awesome.
guess.
Look forward to it. Okay, so upload G-code files directly to the slicer, right? Thanks to the Clipper and mainsail. Open source hackable. Constructive open source technology. Use 3D use difficulties. You turn the vast community users may not necessarily own a Proforge, but will be familiar with the components. I guess yeah, we've discussed a lot of that. So your documentation will have the design. There'll be designs. There'll be the CAD model and everything. So we can take a look. That's
Yeah,
great. Public. Proforge 4 was built with reliability, repairability, usability, part availability, and longevity in mind. I think you mentioned that you wanted to touch on this. I think over email, right? About I guess the reliability or uh, yeah.
Y-
What you
y-
mentioned about that.
yeah. So So our machine being non-proprietary and essentially taking the best from the wider 3D printing community means that the components that we do use have that reliability built into them. They have that quality built into them, and we've specifically chosen those high-end components um, for that reason. So, for example, the power supply is a brand name Meanwell power supply. Both power supplies, they're both Meanwell. The relay for the heated bed is Omron, which is a high quality brand. You know that that part is going to last. The heated bed, the silicon heater, it's not just a regular silicon heater. It's from Kinovo, which is a known brand. They're known to do really good silicon heaters, and I could go on with the rest of the components. But that is how we've decided to choose the components for the printer with that quality in mind, with that long-term use in mind.
Yeah, that makes sense. I recognize all these brands except for maybe the last two.
Which two are those?
The Omron, just because I'm not an
Omron,
electrical
right.
person, and the I guess the and the Trinamic. I guess that's that. Is it the steppers?
Yeah, those are just the stepper drivers. They're
Okay.
from Trinamic.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I use Kinivo, LDO, and Gates and Victory Tech as well, and yeah, because they're trusted and they're good. And Meanwell, so like it's a quiet Meanwell power supply, right? So yeah,
Yep.
that helps add to the noise reduction. So the pair, like I guess we went over this. Assembly Proforge gives you better understanding of inner workings, yeah, usability, software support, masters operations, part availability, yeah, off-the-shelf parts, yeah, a lot of the stuff we can get in our own backyard. Amazon, easy to switch out. It's like you said, non-proprietary. That's awesome. So Proforge can remain operational indefinitely as long as we have like some, I guess, maintenance, right? And as long as we don't abuse the printer. So yeah. I mean, for your own testing, like I guess you really put your own printer through the ringer. Like, do you have like so many hours, so many tool changes, like a total of like 10,000 tool changes by now or something, or how's it
Yeah, I
going?
think we've probably got a little over 10,000 tool
Oh,
changes.
okay.
What the large four color Moai, I think,
Yeah.
that had around 3,000 something tool changes, and it filled the build volume. And yeah, it was perfect. The servo didn't skip a step. The tool changes were flawless. I mean, and we're only planning to improve that with the stainless steel parts. So
Right.
we're super happy with the tool changing mechanism, and its reliability is really good. Yeah.
Awesome. Reliable, accurate, amazing. Deep dive, quad core, XY. We've gone to this. Like you've been testing with speedy motors, and now our final version will be LDO super speedy, which is at 48 volts, which is going to be pretty nuts. Um, two motors, exceptional performance. That's right. You mentioned that you actually not, as expected, I guess, with quad motors, there's no skipping of steps. Aluminium brackets. Yeah, okay, outside. I like the simplicity, how this is just on the outside. I can see everything that's going on. Like, yeah, my rat rig, I don't know what's actually going on with the bearings and the belts because it's all hidden. And if I want to get at it, I have to like take apart. Like, it's a big ordeal. But this is straightforward, simple, open. I love it. Meanwhile, so this is a fanless Meanwhile power supply, at least from the picture. Is that right? Yeah.
No, I think the Meanwhile power supply does have a fan on it. The
Oh, okay.
24 volt one, I think, has a fan on it. I'm not sure about the 48 volt
Oh,
off the top
okay.
of my head.
I think
I
just by this picture, maybe you don't end up using this exact model, but it's even if it has a fan, meanwhile, it's going to be pretty quiet. I think, yeah.
Yeah, we may look into actually a fanless
I think that's what this
model.
one is, just
Yeah.
by the open mesh here. Usually, that means it's just like passive cooling, but yeah.
We'll have to look into that. I don't know off the top of my head exactly, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. TMC 5160 drivers. That's the advanced. I don't know the specifics about, but I know that they're good. They're better than the 2209s. Um, rigid
I
motion.
should mention,
Mm.
it's the X and Y that run on the 5160s because you need those to run at 48 volts. The remaining motors
Mm.
still use 2209 stepper drivers.
Oh, okay,
Um,
for like the
so
Z
it's just
and the
the X and
extruder.
Y. Yeah,
Yeah,
the Z and the extruder still use 2209. So
yeah, that
the
makes sense.
5160s are not necessary there. It's just for the X and Y that you need those.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, rigid motion system. To handle all professional speed, system itself needs to be mechanically strong. The X-axis uses two beefy, high-quality MG12 linear rails, which are mounted directly on the frame. And I guess they're not Highwind because Highwind's like super expensive, but you've tested these
Yeah,
these rails.
yeah, yeah. They're a good quality linear rail. Not high win, but still a very good quality.
Yeah.
If they were high win, the printer would probably be twice as much.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. The hot end extruder, so Orbiter V2. I just actually upgraded my printer with that. I love it. And high quality Sunon fans, awesome. Supported heated block. One-handed nozzle changes are possible. So that nozzle, is it a volcano nozzle you're using to put in there, or is it like a regular M8 or
It's
it has
so
there's a sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So the way we've set that up is to so you're able to use any sort of standard M6 nozzle, that standard nozzle size. It's just the inside of the heater block. We've got a brass spacer that takes care of that empty space because you can't really machine you can't really machine it straight through, and also the aluminium heater block would wear out as well. So instead, we've just included that spacer. We have had requests to upgrade that spacer to stainless steel.
Right.
We're looking into that. We are looking into that.
Right. That yeah, I was thinking that just because like it's would it probably wear out on like certain material if you're using like carbon fiber or whatnot. But then it's
Yep.
easy enough to swap out. Like
To swap out. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. So we can print up to 350 degrees C. That's awesome. Okay. Oh, right. Brass spacer. You got everything broken down here. Okay, awesome. Copper titanium heat break. Okay, that's nice. All right, here the nozzles. Part cooling. Looks good. Directly that whole I get the whole hot end. This whole back end here is it remains on the main tool head, right? The only thing that switches out is this section here, the hot end and orbiter.
Sorry, I can't see your screen exactly.
Oh, you know this whole
What are you?
time I have not been presenting it to you, but it's being recorded, so sorry.
Okay.
Let me do that.
There
Okay.
we go.
All
That's
right.
better.
Yeah. Sorry. I meant
Okay.
like this piece here, the hot end and the extruder. That's
Yeah.
the tool head that gets like picked up and replaced, but the back part here is what remains on the main print head, right? Which all this, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
So the part cooling fan, the probe, and what we're calling the master plate that stays on the tool carriage,
Mm.
and then the tool plate is what detaches and attaches, and the tool plate is what has the extruder and the hot end on only.
Okay. Awesome. Part cooling is a large 50 mm blower fan. Okay.
Where to actually to add to that,
Mhm.
the part cooling fan is a large 50 mm blower fan, provides a ton of cooling, but we also
Yeah.
want to add some additional static cooling onto the right side of the machine. There should be some renders coming out of that soon.
Oh,
So
fantastic. Yeah, that'd be
yeah.
great. Yeah. That will also help with
Okay.
the heated chamber as well. Like with my bamboos, I'll run the heat bed at like 100 and I'll have that blowing on the heat bed. It will just like circulate and heat up more. And it's great for cooling PLA, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's really good. So that's gonna be added, and it's just gonna have some blower fans, like a single large blower fan to blowing air through that.
Likely it'll be either two smaller ones or one large single one
Mm.
with fan shrouds pointing over the over the bed. It's because it's quite a large build plate, so we
Mm.
might end up having 2 fans
Oh wow,
just to get across. Yeah.
that's great. I'm really excited for all the updates you're going to be making after this video on
Yep.
your Kickstarter. Um,
Yep.
yeah, that really emphasizes the how your Kickstarter, I mean, more than most, I would say, is changing, evolving over time. Like, so you're getting feedback from the community. That's awesome. One things that I've seen come up, and some people might be wondering, is how come like other Kickstarters we haven't seen like printer reviews being sent to people so that they can like a third party can review your printer. I was wondering whether you would open up about that.
Yeah, so we're still quite a small company. Even though we've done Kickstarters in the past, we're still a very, very small company.
Mm-hmm.
And this machine here is still a prototype. It's the only prototype that we have. It's the one that we're working with. And we also want to wait until we have actual production machine ready to hand out to a reviewer who can not just take a look at the machine, but also build it from the kit up, because that's how most people will be getting their printer.
Mm-hmm.
They will be getting it as a kit, and that's part of the experience of using the printer as well. So I would actually like to announce here, I guess, that
Yeah.
if you want to take a look at the printer, we're going to be showing it at TCT in Birmingham, UK,
Okay.
in about 2 weeks. So if you want to come down and take a look at the printer firsthand, more than welcome to.
Oh,
I think the
I'd love to,
dates
but I have
are
to
the
fly over to the
7th and
UK.
the
Like,
8th.
I don't know if I mentioned I'm in Toronto, Canada. But yeah, send me the details later. Who knows? I might be able to make a business trip over there.
That would be
Yeah.
great. We'd love to see you.
Okay. Awesome. Go back to I'm originally from Wales when I born and raised in Wales actually, but then I've been
Okay.
in Canada since like forever, 2001. Yeah.
That'd be a
Yeah.
good excuse to visit, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. So like you mentioned, yeah, you could, you're gonna send out some prototypes later, maybe get more feedback, and that's gonna be before the mass production for like what for the Kickstarter before the Kickstarter delivery completes.
It will be around about the same sort of time. So we want to get production started
That
as
makes
soon as
sense.
possible, and
Hmm.
once we have production units, we can
Hmm.
then send those out uh, for reviewers to look at. So the Kickstarter, really, you're getting that discount uh, by supporting us early on, and I guess taking a little bit of a chance, but everything after them would be sold at the retail price, which is it's
Right.
about $600 more.
Mm-mm.
Uh, so
Okay. All right. Okay. Thanks for going into that. I guess we'll continue on here. We're looking at time. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Well, I think we've probably mentioned a lot of the stuff that we're going through, but print platform supported, independently driven, all 4 corners, right? Entry and rails. Yeah. ABS brackets. Aluminum frame sits on a print bed on an ultra flat aluminum tool plate. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So it's there's extrusions and there's like for people used to springs. No, there's no springs. It's completely flat. It's um managed by 4 corners. It will I guess move around the plate. And so it can't move too much, right? Because I mean, with the rack we have balls which can move quite a bit. This is uh more just connected to each corner. So there's
yeah, so
what's that?
it doesn't need to move a massive
Mm-hmm.
amount once all 4 corners are probed. It moves maybe a few millimeters just to
Mm-hmm.
get it perfectly flat with the gantry. But yeah, but we've had great results with this. We've used the same system on the Proforge 3.5 upgrade, had great results there, and just ported that over to the Proforge 4, and yeah, we have great results with it.
Okay, awesome.
Works really well.
Yeah, and it just looks like it locks in there nice and firmly. Um, it can be heated to 130, which is yeah, it's slightly harder than the standard, which is it's good to have the extra room. Um, Omron, as mentioned, was a good. I'm not an electrician, but you're choosing all the best brands, so I trust
Yeah.
that. Auto quad bed leveling, yeah, okay. With an inductive probe, we can put as many points as we want through Clipper, and sample each as
Yeah.
much as one. Yeah.
Yeah, there is the option to create a mesh, for sure. What we've done here is just used 4 points to create a level plane, just because it's quicker than probing every single point on the bed. You can save that mesh, of course. We've just found that we've honestly not had to. It's because the tooling plate
It's
is
so ultra flat.
flat
Oh, okay.
it's flat to 0.1. We can just have the probe 4 points, level the bed, and you're good to go from there. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, because like usually I'm like, oh, if I got a really large piece, I like make it have like 7 by 7, 49 points, and it takes absolutely forever to start up.
Yeah,
But
there is the option for doing that as well if you wanted to, and
mm,
there is also integration with the
beacon.
beacon bed scanner that we're working to get
Oh, nice.
to get in there. Yeah.
Oh, fine. That'd be great if you could have that option. Like, so we'll probably have if we buy the beacon, we can add it, or are you gonna or are you thinking of including it as an upgrade or an option?
It would you would have to purchase it separately. We did get in touch with the guys over at Beacon
Mm,
and just to ask if we could get a bulk discount, but
mm.
they weren't having it.
Oh,
They're pretty popular and they're holding on to
I guess so.
their
Yeah.
retail price. So yeah,
Yeah, it's expensive. It's amazing. I actually just last night put it
it
on
is, yeah.
my rat rig, but I haven't I haven't mounted it yet. But excited. But yeah, it makes sense. It could be added to here, even though it doesn't seem like you need to. You only need 4 points to get such good results, as you mentioned. That's
Mm.
great. Each tool head has a filament sensor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just quickly on that,
Mm,
you can see the 3D printed parts there in the red ABS.
mhm,
We're actually going to be replacing all of those 3D printed parts and the purge buckets with a single metal bracket.
mm.
So if you take a look at the brackets that hold both of those motors together, both of those brackets will be connected into one single bracket. Does that make sense?
Sorry, this bracket here,
No, the
right at the
the
front.
black bracket that's holding the motor. Yeah, on the same image, that black bracket that's holding the motor together.
Oh, okay, this.
Yeah, so this is all going to be one bracket going all the way to the rear motor.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So
so
we're
just
doing away
simpler.
with these 3D printed parts. Exactly, it's
Yeah.
simpler, it's easier to put
Mm-hmm.
together. It's going to be more accurate docking and docking the tools, getting those values the first time once you've built the printer. It's going to be a lot easier to do that. And yeah, and also I think, yeah, I guess I could touch on it now.
Mm,
With the tool changer as well, I think we spoke about it in the last video where we're going to be replacing those buckets with spring steel sleds. So when
mm-hmm.
the tool head docks, it's the nozzle flow is just completely cut off. And
Mm-hmm.
doing it that way, we can get rid of that prime tower and just again making multi material printing even quicker.
Yeah, that would be great. Like, I know, like, I don't know the exact amount, but whenever someone does a multi material color print, like my bamboos, like it just maybe doubles the time. It's very or more. It's very significant.
Yeah,
But your tool changes, I saw it. Like, it changes the tool heads in like seconds. There's no
seconds.
purge.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no. I mean, there's only purging with the tower, but that's going away. So, yeah, that's going to greatly decrease the time for multi-material, multi-color prints. Yeah. Okay. So electronics, we've kind of gone over. It's very clean. Like you said, this is the final design is probably going to change a little bit and be better organized. But it looks very organized already. Was an octopus board. Is this an extra board here for the tool changer? I guess because there's so many tool heads? Like you need an extra board
Yeah,
here?
so well, we're going to be getting rid of that extra board for the final version.
Oh.
Where there's a new board that's recently come out from Big Tree Tech. It's called the Octopus Max, and that's got
Oh.
space for everything we need. So that's one less board, and the 5-volt power converter is also something we're going to be getting rid of. We're going to be the not only does the new board have a power converter built in, but because of the Raspberry Pi market shortage,
Yeah.
we're going to be using the Big Tree Tech board that also has that 5-volt power converter built in for reliable power there as well. So there's no need for that additional part. So again, it'll just be even cleaner.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I didn't know or hear of this new Octopus Max board.
Yep.
Okay, and then the equivalent of the Raspberry Pi is like it's already locked in on the board, or you put it on the board. Okay.
No,
Is it
it'll be a separate
separate still?
board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would be separate still. So I mean, if you wanted to later on, if there's ever a Raspberry Pi 5 that comes out, you can swap that out for it. Yeah, and that board as well is a little bit more dedicated towards 3D printing. The Big Tree Tech Pi board.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
it has space for the accelerometer. Again, it has that
Right.
5-volt power converter built in.
Mhm.
It's a little bit more, tailored for 3D printing.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. All right. So this is going to be changing. 5-volt converter is gone. It's cleaner, better. Clipper and mainsail. We talked about. Yeah, it's very fast. I don't think we need to upgrade to Raspberry Pi 5 or 4, but we have the options. Great. Precise movements, constant being upped and improved. This is true. Yeah, people familiar with Clipper. Yeah. Mainsail control interface is as we see here. And we do everything through the web browser. But there's a screen on this printer, is there, or is there no screen? I can't remember.
There is an optional touchscreen that you can have. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Also, there should actually be mentioned there that you can control this from your phone as well. So, if you've got a browser on your smartphone, you can just log into your printer right from there and control it from there as well, if you wanted to. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I think there's Clipper apps as well we can download too for the phone. Yeah. Toolchanger. Yeah. We've talked extensively about the Toolchanger. You've talked about how the master plate here is going to be CNC'd, and so it just adds to the reliability and accuracy. Print head. Oh yeah, I should have come down here earlier. So this, yeah, for everybody who's not familiar, this is what is the tool that changes, which is the hot end and extruder, and then this remains mounted. Makes sense. Yeah, there's a tool board back there. Nothing else to mention here. It's a spring for knowing it's clipping in and clipping off, I guess.
That's just so that I know it's just how it creates that tension.
Oh,
It's just it's a die spring essentially, and the stainless steel drive shaft it moves. It's a two-part assembly that moves with the spring. It's a little it's a little difficult to explain.
yeah, that's
But
okay. Yeah,
once you see it,
it works
it'll
really
make
well,
sense.
it's a strong. It has a strong grip on the tool head, I assume, obviously.
Very strong grip.
Yeah, very strong.
The
Okay.
servo is capable of around 40 kilograms of torque.
Wow.
It's way more than what's necessary, but
Yeah.
you've got that power there. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. All right. Then we talked about the production version
Yep.
modification. The enclosure. We also talked about acrylic panels. Was it like 3 millimeters or 4 millimeters acrylic?
I think it might be less. I think it's 2.5
2.5
millimeters.
millimeters. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, and then okay, there we see the top acrylic panel on top. So how are the wires? Like these are very long wires, so like they're arching over a little bit, but the panels not too high up. But I guess what do you use some sort of like rods in there or something to stiffen them, but we don't have to worry about them like ever like
Yeah. So
tangling.
at the moment we're using the PTFE tube to support those cables.
Okay.
It's possible that we may use some sort of spring steel just to stiffen that up. And also something that definitely is changing is the gaps on the side of the enclosure. You can see in that image there
Mm.
that those gaps, those openings will be slightly wider as well, just to make it easier once the enclosure is on for those cables to slide in and out.
Okay. Yeah, I've actually had a lot of problems with this. Like on my rat rig, I used PTFE, I used piano wire, used a bunch of things. But you know what I actually found was the best, just a consideration, because it's really thin and small. Is this? It's used in I think it's fiberglass, some sort of fiberglass rod that gets put in fiber optic cables to keep them straight. But it's like not too strong, but it is pretty strong, and yeah, I found that's the best for me.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, we'll look into that. Fiberglass,
I think that's what it
fiberglass
is.
rod.
It
Okay.
must be like a fiberglass. It looks like it's starting to fray here, but it's like it's pretty strong and it's thin and it's light. But yeah, I don't know how expensive it is. I kind of like salvage that. Um, So, okay, and then the fume extraction, okay, like this printer really does have, like you thought about so much, having every feature, there's all these printers like comparing like, their specs and whatnot, and there's pros and cons, but you seem to be trying to cover everything. It's like a dream printer. Like tool head
Yeah.
changes, uh, it's enclosure, super fast, crazy, fume extraction, so like stay safe. Xenon fans, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you just if you want to replace the carbon, you just like remove it, empty
Yeah.
out,
So
pour it back in.
exactly. So those trays, they slide out. That design might be changing slightly, but essentially the tray just slots out.
Mm.
You can you throw away the old carbon, put some new carbon in, and you're good to go again. And the
Mm.
carbon as well is from, we're going to be purchasing it from Nevermore. It's going to be that's if you aren't familiar with that, that's
No.
a brand name
Uh,
carbon. But that project was designed specifically for Voron printers, and
okay.
we've decided to just borrow the carbon from those guys, and yeah.
Okay. So nevermore, no more toxic fumes, I guess they're planning on. Okay. And so so there's no HEPA filter, or I guess we could always upgrade to have a HEPA filter, or is that not, in your opinion, like worthwhile?
Uh, I trust the carbon pellets from Nevermore to do a pretty good
Do
job of keeping the fumes at bay.
Okay. All right, makes sense. Premium carbon pellets, you mentioned touchscreen. Okay, there's the touchscreen, the clipper screen. Yeah. Um, tool head calibration camera. Oh, okay, this is interesting. Yeah. So, can you go into this, explain to us how this works and what it's used for? It's the same camera that it's only one single camera, and everything's gonna be run through that camera for even the calibration, not just watching the print.
No. So this is a separate camera.
Oh,
It's
okay,
got a
separate.
specific lens on it that allows you to get. So you can see there in the software. So this camera is actually from Ember Prototypes. They're the guys that developed this, and it's used. It can be used to calibrate not just a Proforge 4 or a Toolchanger, but really any printer with multiple print heads. It works extremely well. It's extremely accurate
Mm,
because you're getting to literally see exactly where your nozzle orifice is, and you're able to align that to like 0.1 millimeters. Um,
mm,
the only downside to it is that it is time consuming,
uh,
um, aligning the tool heads. So in the works, there is an automatic calibration tool. Um, we're going to push for the development of it. Mechanically, it's fairly straightforward to develop. It's the software integration that we're going to need a little bit more time on to get
mm.
it working correctly with Clipper.
Oh, I
But it
see.
is in the works, and if you don't see it immediately with your order, it will come afterwards. And because the hardware is so inexpensive, we might even be able to include it. We might even be able to ship it later for free for everyone, possibly, with maybe a premium shipping option, paying for a premium shipping option only. But it is something that is definitely in the works, and yeah,
Okay,
I
no,
can
that looks really
conservatively
cool.
say you'll be able to see it before the end of the year. An automatic calibration tool. Yeah.
Wow, I know that sounds impressive. Yes. Okay. Because yeah, I haven't seen this. Maybe it's been around for a bit, but I haven't seen this type of calibration before. And on Prusa XL, they were saying that they're gonna have like the nozzle like hit something on the bed and auto calibrate. But this like sounds like a inexpensive and accurate alternative. So awesome. Okay. So let's see. We're almost at an hour. I gotta so hopefully I think we're gonna wrap up soon. But like you said, the slicer. You personally use I guess here Cura. But we can use anything. Prusa slicer. I'm started using Orca. Hey, is that the Orca symbol? Yeah, I think it is. No, that's the Prusa symbol. Okay. Supply 3D. The kit, as you mentioned, it's all parted out. We assemble it. So it ships like compact. And we will know how to. If you build it, you'll know how to maintain it most likely. Dimensions here. It's not such a huge footprint because it's not like a bed slinger. It's a Core XY. And then we've been coming through some of the rewards. I think are we at the second reward now or the third reward?
I think the second one, we should. Yeah.
The first one was like extra Z, and what was the
The
second
second
one?
one, we're still trying to figure
Figure
out.
out what it is.
We're taking
Oh.
feedback from people and what they want to see for it.
Okay, you got any ideas what you might have, or it's just
At the moment, not really. People have thrown out ideas about a high quality nozzle, an extra flex plate. Yeah, we're open to it. We're open to seeing what we can do there.
That makes sense. Okay. Oh, 1 second, my wife. Yeah, almost done. Sorry, family calls. All right, so 4 print heads. We get to choose 2 heads, 4 print heads. Upgrade to the enclosure. Okay, so how do these options work? Like at the end of the Kickstarter, will we manage the pledge and say what we want?
No, so once you click on an option to back, it will take you to a screen where you can then pick these add-ons and add what you need right from there.
I must have forgotten or missed that. Okay.
The only thing that's added on after the campaign ends is shipping, because we don't know exactly what the shipping rates are going to be, and yeah, it'll depend on your specific address as well, and also taxes as well. Taxes are something else that I'd like to quickly touch
Sure.
upon.
Yeah.
So at the moment we're looking to see if we can, instead of paying the courier for the taxes and probably incurring an admin fee, you can just pay us directly, and we can then sort out that admin on our side, and it should hopefully save you a bit of money there with dealing with a courier, and also make shipping a little smoother as well, because you won't have to deal with customs. It will just come straight to your door.
Yeah, I definitely would want that option. So yeah, appreciate that. And yeah, 2-year warranty. So that's that's very solid. I think most manufacturers just 1-year warranty, and this is a prototype, and this is a Kickstarter, but you're saying that you're standing behind your product with a 2-year warranty. So that's fantastic. And do you want to briefly say what that covers exactly? It says
it will cover pretty much all components, except for like wear and tear, so a worn belt and that sort of stuff. But anything reasonable, where if the electronics board fails, if the power supply fails, if anything like that fails, we've got your back for 2 years, and we're confident with that as well, because the components we use they're high quality components that should last. They should last a lot longer than 2 years. but yeah,
And we'll
2-year
just
warranty is
yeah, that's definitely solid. And we just like send an email to on the
yeah.
Makertech website, and then
There's a form. Yeah, there's a
okay,
form you can fill out. Just mention what you need, and we'll get it sent out.
okay, awesome. Manufacturing, as you mentioned, it's outsourced to China. And you're gonna get started right after the Kickstarter when you got the funds and you know
Yep.
the volume you're gonna need. It's British engineering design, I like that. Um, Timelines, okay. So we're coming to the end of your Kickstarter right now, as of
Mhm.
May 20th. It's got like another 10 days, I think.
Yeah.
And June and July build manual and documentation we could look forward to and get excited for our deliveries. That's when you place the orders, and the dispatch in August. Okay, and I guess depending where we are in the world, like the dispatch probably take. Is it like it's gonna be coming from China, so it's gonna be on? Is it? It's not gonna be a 3-month wait, or is it gonna be
No, no, no.
airship?
It'll be on. Yeah, it'll be on a decent courier. They'll get to you in a couple of days.
Oh, really? Okay, a couple days. Fantastic. Yeah. And then about Makertech, like you mentioned in the introduction, about you've got a couple of printers under your belt. Yeah, so and you've got acknowledgements here, awesome. And so that's it. Like, is there anything else you want to mention as we wrap up, or is that it? Because we did cover a lot. That may be too long for some
Yeah,
people,
it's
but good for some
been an hour.
enthusiasts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
I think that's everything. Yeah, and just thank you for the overwhelming support. Did not expect to
Do as well as you did.
to be this popular, which
That's great to
we're
hear.
super
Like,
happy about.
mm.
Yeah, and it's exciting for us as well to see where we can take the Proforge 4 and really maybe even shake things up a little in the industry.
I think you
Yeah,
will. I think maybe it's just a little hard because you're a small company. It's a little harder to get the word out. But
yeah,
hopefully this video and the last stretch of the Kickstarter, people will even more people will jump on it. I want to see you guys succeed, and I'm super excited myself. It looks amazing, and I'm just more confident now that I've spoken to you, Adeel. Like you and your company sound like a great, real startup. That's four
mhm.
things like this on Kickstarter. And thank you so much again for taking the time to speak with my humble small YouTube channel. I'm gonna try and get this video
No,
out
thank you for
like
taking the
like
time as well.
yeah, yeah, no problem, no problem. Okay, without further ado, I guess we'll end it there. And yeah, you have a wonderful weekend and good luck with the updates and everything. Yeah.
You as well. Thanks very much, Ad. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. See ya. All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Alright, if you've made it to the end of this video, I commend you. It was a super long video, hopefully informative and detailed enough for those people who are looking into the Proforge 4 on the Kickstarter. I enjoyed it. It's the first time I've done such an interview, and Adeel was great. It was great connecting with him. And just a reminder, if you could like the video or dislike, whichever, and I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. It's small as of right now, but I plan to make lots of content, particularly on the side of just running a side hustle business and trying to make it successful in the world of 3D printing, and hopefully more. I'm gonna get a laser engraver, so we'll see. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Goodbye.